All right, so we're going to get into the scheduling for this week, and so we are going to cover some of the terminology and everything. Now, again, when we cover this each week, this is scheduling notes for this week, for the week of for Thursday, November 14th scheduling at the plants. So there's not like any. If you see that, hey, there's a constraint this week, that doesn't mean there's a constraint overall. That's something that we have to take note of. Just for this week. So just so you're aware of that. So there you go. So let's get into this and go over the terminology first. All right. When we talk about this is talking about people that have orders. Those orders are placed in what we call the order bank. That's where dealer places all those stock and retail orders. A retail order is a customer placed order. So if you go into your dealer and you place an order with your dealer, they put it in this system as a retail order. A stock order would be an order that a dealer needs to place because they don't have a lot of retail orders, and so they need some. But they have allocations. They're going to want to put those in there for stock or lot inventory, and so they can place those how they want to before Ford pushes in their own orders. Now, priority code, that is a priority given to orders by the dealer. And why that's important is that if the retail order, it can be anywhere from an 03 to 19. A stock is 20 to 80, and the lower the better. So that means that if you have a retail order, it's going to be looked at first before a stock. And you'll see that this week, especially as we talk about a lot of these are retail scheduling only for this week. Scheduling, that is when Ford schedules an order for production dates in the future months. So we're going to talk about what's scheduling this week for production days in the future. And that production date, that is when the vehicle is supposed to get built. That is also when you get it scheduled is when you get your VIN number. And then allocations. Ford gives dealers allocations to schedule the orders. So a dealer needs an allocation to schedule an order in the order bank. If you retail or not, you can have 10 retail orders in there, but if you don't have any allocations, they're not going to get scheduled without an allocation. I like to tell people that more than likely you haven't been scheduled because your dealer doesn't have an allocation. That's possible. That's a possibility, or it could be a constraint on your order. One of those two things. And speaking of constraints are options that may be in short supply or take longer to build. Or if you have, a lot of times it's a supply issue. A capacity, that's the planned production rate of a given motor, trim, or option that is based on supplier giving them what they can. So a capacity could be based on a certain tire even. They may only be able to do so many XLT Mavericks because that's how many tires a supplier can give to them. And that sets the tone for that capacity possibly. Job 1 and 2. So job 1 and 2 means the production is ran into a couple different production. Job 1 would be the start of production. That's when they're going to start producing the next model year. For us right now, it's 25 model year. They'd break it into a job 2 if they need to introduce a new feature, a new trim level, or something else that they don't want to wait until next year to do. They want to introduce it and it's not quite ready for job 1. So that's why sometimes you'll see a job 2 just be a couple months after job 1, whereas in some vehicles it's 6 months later. We saw that with the Explorer. There's a big change and some major changes because of supply issues and the supplier being able to get them to them. So they had to make those changes real quick for job 2. Balance out, that's the end of production or the balance out. Sometimes the balance out of job 1 before moving to job 2. Sometimes it's a balance out for that particular model year. All right. So there's that. All right, so now let's get into, again, scheduling for this week. Hopefully I made a lot of that stuff clear. First off, the 25 model year Mustang. The order banks are open up for the 25 Mustang, so you can place an order with your local dealer. They are scheduled this week for production weeks 12/30 through January 27th. So for most models, they're going to schedule for the month for January build date. So again, they do 2 months in advance. This is November, December, January. So this week they are doing retail scheduling only. So it does say in here a note, the Dark Horse handling package won't be available until April of 2025. So if you're wanting a Dark Horse with a handling package, you're not going to get it. Mustang Night Pony package with the black painted roof is available only for retail scheduling. For stock orders, the vehicle must have black exterior paint to get the Night Pony package. There you go. That's the only notes I have for Mustang. I don't actually have the amount of orders there are. That report did not come through because they were closed on Monday for Veterans Day. So because of that, we didn't get that information on the capacity and such, or the orders that they have. Next up, 25 model year Escape. The order banks are open up for the Escape, including the plug-in Escape and the hybrids. They are scheduled this week for those January build dates, 12/30, the week of 12/30 through the week of 1/27. So basically January. And they are doing retail scheduling only. Again, you'll see that a lot in most of these models here. All right, no constraints on that one there. All right, next up, so 25 model year Bronco Sport. The order banks are open up for the Bronco Sport. They are not on to job 2 yet. So they are scheduled this week for those for December actually and January build dates. So the week of let's just say December 2nd through January 27th, knowing the plant is down for 2 weeks there at the end of December. It says they are scheduling for January job ones. So the end of January is when they're going to finish out. So that week of January 27th is the last week they're going to build a job one. So they're now trying to schedule at that plant for the finish out or the balance out of job one, right? Updating here, they say OTD fitness orders will be released until the weekend of 11/30. So OTD is, don't know the abbreviation of it, but basically that's your stock stuff you put in there to help fulfill things over there. Only Big Bend version with the Black Diamond off-road package will be selected for December scheduling. So they're trying to finish this out. And I really need to do a video that talks about how this works, because when I say there's no constraints on certain things, technically there isn't. But in a situation where they're at the end of like, okay, now they've scheduled out, there's no constraints, but there is a capacity issue, right? And so basically they don't have enough retail orders to handle the capacity, but they do have available for the Black Diamond off-road package. So in this case, at this point, they're needing some Black Diamond orders so they can fulfill capacity 100%. If they don't get those orders, then they may be only run at 90% capacity because they can't build any of the other ones because they already hit their planned capacity. But if they had some like diamond packages, then they could fulfill 100% of production, if that makes sense. So I like to say it's kind of like a jar where there's rocks in it and you got to fill things up, and you have bigger rocks and smaller rocks. So the very popular stuff is those bigger rocks. The things that are that are maybe a lower capacity or less popular, is like the Black Diamond package in this case, is those smaller rocks that they need to fill in. So they need those orders to fill in so they can be at 100% in that jar, right? So that's kind of how this works. Capacity for all other series has been exhausted, and this is for December only. So then they're going to be looking. So the other orders they'll look at for January build dates, but December build dates, the only thing you're going to see scheduled for this week is those Black Diamond off-road packages, if they're there. Adding the Big Bend Black Diamond off-road package will improve ordering timing for Big Bend orders. January scheduling will occur 11/14 for job one balance out, with limited availability on all series. Sasquatch Outer Banks package and the Badlands Sasquatch package will be available Q1. So they're not going to schedule yet until they're done with scheduling job one. We are taking retail orders for Sasquatch package, but they will not schedule until job 2, which is February build dates. You're going to see a lot of that commonality in the Maverick when we get to that. Limited availability for the Black Appearance package, as well as the Convenience package. And then exhausted availability for December scheduling. So exhausted just for December scheduling is Outer Banks, Badlands, the all-season tire that's standard on, I believe, almost all of them, the Outer Banks Tech package, and the 17-inch carbonized gray painted aluminum wheel, which I think is the Big Bend wheel. So again, those things are exhausted availability just for December scheduling, because they already have most of those already planned for December. Hopefully, I'm trying to find ways to make this clear, because I have a lot of people that ask me and say, well, you tell me there's no constraints, but then on Tuesday you tell me there's a constraint. Again, this is just for the end, because they scheduled most of January out, or December out already. So, all right, moving on. 25 model year Bronco. They're probably not going to have a lot of orders for this. The order banks are open up for the 25 model year Bronco. We do have prices. We're going to talk about that later in this video in the live stream here. They are going to be scheduling this week. It says scheduling only for Raptor and Strop versions, the Strop Bronco. I don't know why I just can't say Strop without adding Bronco on there. They are scheduling for the weeks in January 13th through January 27th. So this is a startup for 25 model year production. So there you go. So if a dealer has a Raptor order, which we have an available one, so if you're wanting to order a Bronco Raptor, we have an available allocation for that. And we don't know how allocation is going to work for the strop, but it does. You can tell is going to be a specialty build. But we do have a couple orders for those already. So we'll see if any of those get scheduled for us. All right, that's it for Bronco. 25 model year Mach-E order banks are open up right now. You actually order those with your dealer. You cannot order those online. Build and buy will be on there eventually once they get to the point where they get to stock and such. But for right now, to get a Mach-E, if you want to get one to start up production, you're going to want to order one with your dealer. So the order banks are open up for that. They are scheduled this week for a retail scheduling only for those production dates in January, which is a startup of 25, January 6th through the week of January 27th. So. All right, next up is a 25 model year Explorer. Order banks are open up for the Explorer. They are on the job 2. They did make some changes to that that I've highlighted in the past. I might need to do a special video for that shows what's different on those, but they are scheduling this week as retail scheduling only for those production weeks, January 13th through January 27th. Again, you're seeing those January build dates there. Next up, 25 model year Expedition. Order banks are open up for the 25 model year. You can order those. They are not scheduled this week, but they are trying to get their orders in line so they can start scheduling 25 model year for those February build dates. So they're not going to start building those until February, which is why you may not see 25 model year schedule yet for like another month. So we'll just have to see there. Or at least later in the month, because they're not going to schedule in December. We got allocations this month for all of November. They're going to schedule out for 2 months. So they are going to be scheduling for February build dates later in the month. And that includes the Expedition there. So, all right. Next up, 25 model year Maverick. Order banks are open up for the Maverick for all configurations. Job 2 order banks have not opened. What I mean by that is there's certain things like Lobo 402A that's not available to order yet. And those, if you're wanting those trailer features, those aren't ready to order yet either. So you want to hold off placing the order if you're still wanting a job 2 build. So they are going to be scheduling this week for December 2nd through January 27th. Again, that's the finish of that is the January job 1 scheduling is what they're trying to fulfill here for you. And then, of course, Lobo won't get scheduled until February build date. So it's still going to be at least a couple weeks. They're telling me end of November for that. So it may be that last week in November that you might see those. So the next 2 weeks at least will be job 1 still for those January build dates. Best availability is XLT version and the trimmer version. Again, they're probably needing some trimmers for those December build dates to finish that out, I would assume. Maybe some XLTs. It does say limited availability for the 19-inch black painted aluminum wheel that's included in the black appearance package. It says option on Lobo, but you can't get the Lobo yet. So a limited availability for that. And that's probably for those, again, to finish out those December build dates is what I'm probably looking at there. And then very limited to exhausted on the XL and Lariat versions. So we have had some people say that dealers have their allocations, but they're not scheduled Lariats. I am actually I'm thinking maybe Lariat is being held off right now for scheduling because we do have some dealers that have some allocations. And I know those dealers probably didn't realize those allocations just reset, and this is the first week for scheduling. So I'll encourage to see if any Lariats and XL schedule. Please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know whether or not yours got scheduled if you have an XL or Lariat, since those is saying they exhausted, but it's not because their capacity is exhausted. They can handle them all. It's the fact that they're trying to finish out those December build dates have already scheduled majority of those production for producing. So next up, 25 model year Ranger. Order banks are open up for the Ranger. They are scheduling for Raptor only this week for build dates January 13th through January 27th. This is the startup for 25 model year Ranger. So nothing else there. 25 model year Super Duty. The order banks are open up for the Super Duty for 25 model year. 24 is done. They actually, even Ohio is finished scheduling for 24 model years because that one went a little bit longer into those January build dates, but they have scheduled them all. Ohio, because of that reason, will not be scheduled this week. They're going to start their 25 model year scheduling later. But the Kentucky truck plant will be scheduling for 25 model year the weeks of December 16th through January 13th. And then it says, saying here, 25 model year system scheduling fill for Kentucky, and that 24 model year has officially balanced out in Ohio and Kentucky. There you go. And then required orders there, and they are needing F250 and 350 XL and XLTs without the heavy duty standard alternator and without the fifth wheel gooseneck hitch prep package. They're going to always need these orders because dealers don't order them and customers don't order them. So anyway, very limited to exhausted for the lug nut cap, optional on the F250, F450 pickup with the four-wheel drive single rear wheel on the 250s. And then that'll be option 649 or 64L for the wheel. And then also the dag wheel ornament that's included in the two-wheel drive single rear wheel with the black hub covers and the 10.5 axle. And then the other very limited exhausted is the fifth wheel hitch kit. I'd encourage you, I'd encourage you, if you have that on your order, maybe take that off to get it scheduled. And then you can always get that through Ford Accessories or through your dealer. So that's probably what I'd do. Next up, the 25 model year F-150. Order banks are open up for the 25 model year F-150. They are scheduling this week, for the dates January 6th through January 13th. So those 2 weeks. And they are needing some Raptor orders. So dealers that have Raptors, they need those. It does say Raptor orders 801A, 802A, 803A without the tonneau covers or the twin panel moonroof. So they're needing orders without those. So evidently they have Raptor orders, but people are putting tonneau covers. Take those tonneau covers off your orders. Anyway, very limited availability. Now, these others have to do with not this week because they're only usually scheduling Raptor. Maybe they are scheduling everything. Oh, sounds like they are. So limited availability for the 5.0 liter engine. Also limited availability for the T2P tire. That's a 275/60 R20 all-terrain tire that's standard on STX 200A, Lariat 501A, and 502A, and it's included in the XLT Black Appearance Package and the XLT Black Appearance Package Plus and the Lariat Black Appearance Package and the Platinum 701A and 702A. So I got an issue with that all-terrain tire. Also 96L option, which is the wheel well liner. That's optional on 302A and 303A, as well as on Lariat, King Ranch, and Platinum. That is also limited availability. So if you're struggling to get your schedule, take that off as well. So, all right, next up, 25 model year Transit. The order banks are open up for 25 model year. And this, I think, is the first week for scheduling for 25 model year. They're scheduling for the week of January 20th. And it says 24 model year system scheduling fill. So that means that's ready for that. So spec changes and cancellations for 24 model year scheduling orders are shut off. And then there you go. So that's it. So, all right. That's all the scheduling we have. Don't really have anything else. About every model is moved to 25 model year now. And we are moving on. I don't think they're going to be building F-150 Lightnings this month. Yeah, till the end of the year because they have a bunch already being built and they should be showing up at those retail buying centers here real soon. So if you're wanting a 25, you should be able to get one, but there are plenty of 24s out there as well with not too many changes from 24 to 25. But if you have any questions, if you're watching the live stream, we'll take those live right now. If you're watching the scheduling video that goes live on Wednesdays, drop those down below and I'll try to answer those the best I can. And we'll go from there. So